evening. I will be filming my presentation for Major Religions of the West. My topic is the Holy Land in Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. I apologize in advance if my dog barks during any of this. She's very obnoxious. Okay, let's get started. I will be using a PowerPoint. So to begin, this is my title page for the presentation. Of course, I already outlined my topic, the Holy Land in Judaism, Christianity, and Islam by Patricia. Alright, first slide, we have a picture of Jerusalem taken last year while I was on deployment. Israel was our second port that we pulled into. You can kind of see in the background image, you can see the Dome of the Rock, the big golden temple in the back. The next slide. So Jerusalem as the Holy Land for Judaism. Primarily the Jewish Holy Land referenced the most in the Hebrew Bible. King David claimed Jerusalem as the capital in the Hebrew Bible. It is home to the Temple Mount, where Abraham almost sacrificed his son Isaac to prove his faith. It is the land of Israel. The land of Israel has its own history laid out in the Torah, and where Moses received the 10 Commandments atop Mount Sinai. The Jerusalem Temple, the original one, was seen as a symbol of God, where sacrifices were made for the prosperity of Israel. The second temple was sacked in 70 CE by the Roman armies. The Ottoman Empire actually ruled Jerusalem from 1517 through 1917, and the primary religion was Islam, so that's interesting to note that Jerusalem is not only home to Jews, it's also a very prominent holy land for both Muslims and Christians alike. I will get into that in the next slide. But as I said, it's one of the most disputed cities throughout the monotheistic religions. And you can see that it came back under Israeli control in 1967 following the Six-Day War. And here is a cheesy photo of myself at the Wailing Wall, which is also known as the Western Wall, located in the old city of Jerusalem. It is significant because the wall is actually a remnant of the old temple that used to stand. It's actually now one of the bordering walls for the Dome of the Rock and Temple Mount. And so since it is a part of that, it's been disputed over for quite some time and currently under Israeli control. The next slide, some more about the Western Wall. As I said before, the Second Temple sacked in 70 CE. The Western Wall is a remnant of that. Inside the old temple was the Holy of Holies, which is where Jews would pray to them. It is mostly trafficked during Passover, where some people make pilgrimages to come pray at the wall, and they'll actually insert prayers on a piece of paper and shove it into the wall, so that their prayer will come true. It's also significant because it's the site where the first temple, constructed by King Solomon in 957 BC, used to stand as well, and also where Jesus used to pray in the first temple, and where the 10 Commandments were housed with the Ark of the Covenant. And on to the next slide. So Jerusalem and Islam, of course, like I mentioned before, Jerusalem is not only significant for Jews, it was actually under rule of Islamic power for nearly 3,000 years during the rule of the Ottoman Empire. So the Dome of the Rock is one of the most holiest shrines, or well, not shrines, but I guess it's a shrine, for Islam. It's a very holy place for Muslims. The Quran tells of this being the place where Muhammad made his night journey to heaven, and so Jerusalem was captured by Crusaders and the Dome of the Rock became a part of the Catholic Church. In 1187, Saladin captured the Dome of the Rock, and it became a Muslim shrine once again. And as I mentioned, 3 times I think that Jerusalem was under control of the Ottoman Empire for quite some time. On to the next slide. So we're going to talk about now Jerusalem and Christianity. So here's another extremely cheesy picture of myself and my tour group when we went to Jerusalem. We were outside of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. It is the site of crucifixion and burial place, supposedly, of Jesus. We got to do a tour of the church, and it was really cool to see. We got to peek inside where the burial bed was and do an entire tour of the church. So that was pretty cool. So Jerusalem as a holy site for Christianity. So this is where Jesus was supposedly crucified, resurrected, and buried. That site is known as, was known as I'm going to butcher this, Golgotha. It was originally outside of Jerusalem because Jewish law prohibited Jesus from being buried inside the walls of Jerusalem, but the walls ended up getting extended to where it was believed Jesus was buried, and so his burial ground became a part of Jerusalem. Actually, in 2016, a team of archaeologists excavated his tomb, and they revealed the original limestone burial bed within the 60 hours that they had to get in there, and they found evidence that linked his remains to the time in which he passed away. So it's pretty significant site for Christians, of course. Many will flock here as a pilgrimage as well. Considered one of the most holiest sites for Christianity because, of course, with ties to Jesus Christ, being buried and dying and coming back to life around this area. So this is a photo taken atop the Masada Fortress in Israel. It's the flag. And this is the fortress that King Herod built between 37 and 31 BCE. It really doesn't have much to do with my topic at all. I just thought it was a nice picture. It has the flag. You can see the Dead Sea in the background as well. Okay, on to Mecca, for the Holy Land for Islam. So, Mecca is considered the holiest place for Muslims because of this is where the Prophet Muhammad was born. It is outlined in the Quran as the 5th pillar of Islam. It's to make the pilgrimage to Mecca at least once in your lifetime. It's a requirement. That pilgrimage is known as a Hajj, and it's taken during the holy month of Ramadan in Islam. Mecca can be visited only by Muslims, and it can be visited anytime during the year, but that will not count as a Hajj unless it is done during the holy month of Ramadan. Roughly 2 million people visit during the year. During the Hajj month, they will typically provide sacrifice, just as what was done by Abraham. So we're familiar with Abraham and Isaac, but Islam tells it a little differently. It's Abraham and Ishmael and his father. Basically, Abraham was to sacrifice his son to show his devotion to God and his faith, and he ended up not having to do that, and he proved worthy, and they ended up sacrificing a